Good afternoon, everyone. How's it going? My name is Zach Clayton, Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the PAC channels. I am being joined by Stephanie Simoes of One Hope Wines and Dennis Schroeder of the Price of Freedom Foundation. Before we continue, and guys, I didn't have a chance to tell you this before, but we are part of a very special announcement, and I would like for you guys to join me in wishing Things Network, there you go, you see it in the shirt, Things Network, their happy second birthday. So it's a wonderful paranormal network, and they really do support everything that we're doing here at Footprints Forward. As a matter of fact, we are the only show on these networks that's not paranormal. So that kind of tells you the rarefied air that we're in. But from me to everyone, including my lovely wife, who has a show, who's had a show for the entire 2 years there on Things Network, we'd like to say happy anniversary, happy birthday, whatever you want to call it, Jeremy. That's just fine. So, and please keep us on so we can continue to spread our message. Subliminal works, right? So, hey, so we are joined today by Shar, who I've got a surprise for her as well. She hasn't seen it yet, but I've been at work for her today. She just on Friday, she joined the Community Pay It Forward family. So we're going to be raising money for her and her wonderful program, and we'll be talking about that in just a couple of minutes. But first, of course, let's go through the introductions. Stephanie, tell us a little about yourself. And congratulations, 10 million.
Yes, we reached the $10 million in donation mark with One Hope. So thank you. That was a fun a fun announcement to be able to make. Hi everybody. My name is Stephanie Simoes, and if you're tuning in for the first time, I work with nonprofit organizations and people year-round to assist with fundraising through One Hope Wine. What I do is I specialize in fundraising, gifting, private wine events, and wine delivery. And when you pour a glass of wine or send a gift, it's really, truly a great feeling to know that that bottle is making an impact for a nonprofit that's important to you. Yes, you get to choose where your donation is going. These gentlemen here, they know how the program works. They do incredible work on their ends with their organizations. And Zach and I actually run a monthly show highlighting smaller nonprofit organizations to help them fundraise, but most importantly, to get their mission out there to more people. So you can join Zach and I on the first and third Wednesday of every month. It's Community Pay It Forward One Hope Fundraiser on Facebook, and check out what we're doing over there. Our newest project is New Heights Homestead. So my family and I were traveling 580 miles with our 5 children and our animals to build a mountaintop homestead from the ground up. So if you're someone that loves animals, more natural living topics, maybe growing food, and maybe you're curious about homesteading, you can follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel and come on the journey with us. Lots of animals to share there. And through P&S Properties, our family-run business, we're investing in real estate with a focus on veteran housing. So we are really looking forward to continuing that mission and moving it down to West Virginia with us. That's a little bit about me. This mission, what we're doing right here, is important to me because the last few years, working in the nonprofit space, I've learned a lot about where our systems are really lacking in support. I believe that education and resources for those needing assistance is really important to bring the number of losses in the other direction. So thank you for having me, Zach. I wear many hats. If you want to connect with me, my link tree is right there.
Well, thank you very much. And as always, Stephanie, it is so great to have you here. Dennis, Mr. Schroeder, why don't you tell us about the Price of Freedom Foundation, and then we're going to be bringing on Shar.
All right. Excellent. Well, it's an honor, as always, to be here. My name is Dennis Schroeder. I'm a retired U.S. Army officer. I spent 24 years as a medical service corps officer with the Army, and I, about 5 years ago, decided that we needed to do something more for the families of our fallen and those who paid the ultimate price for our freedom. And so that's what we do, is we work with the families of the fallen and with veterans who knew the fallen. We take a deep dive. We do as many interviews and collect as much as we possibly can to tell that person's entire life story, not simply the brief bio that you see on Memorial Day, but we want to present the entire person so that, number one, the family can know about it, because let's face it, nobody has the entire story of your life except you. And number two, that we can preserve that story for future generations. And number three, that we can tell that story to a much wider audience than that family can ever reach on their own, because that's the single most significant common problem that these families face. And that is that their loved one, a year or 2 years after their loss, is essentially forgotten. So that's what we're about, and glad to be here. Glad to take up this cause, because there's far too many soldier suicides and veteran suicides. And I believe by telling the story, having a conversation, that it can have an impact on those who may be considering suicide to choose to live another day. And that's what we're looking to do.
Well, that's great. And we are going to be talking to somebody who's right down your wheelhouse here in the next couple weeks. A mother of someone who unfortunately lost his life after his service. So I know that we're anxious about that conversation. I'm not going to say we're looking forward to it,
Right.
but we're looking forward to trying to find ways to help her out.
Right.
So we want to thank you two both for being here. And now it is a great pleasure of mine to introduce you to someone I just met. I mean, we just recently met, and it's great because she lives, I mean, I could almost throw a rock and tied with a note tied to it and get it to her. Well, maybe if I threw it really hard and it went all the way to Denver, but we're being joined by Shar. How are you doing, Shar?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing well today. It's been kind of a dreary Monday here. I don't know if that's how the weather is where you are.
Yeah, you know, up here it kind of looks a little cloudy out there, and not definitely not as nice as it has been. I know it was beautiful yesterday, so but it you know, it does remind you that that W word is coming soon.
Yeah.
So which is not a great thing. Shar, tell us a little bit about mental magic. And my first question, why the 2 C's? Because I had to go back through and redo everything because I wasn't paying attention.
So mental magic with 2 C's, and it's a simple reason, because mental magic spelled correctly, that domain was already taken. And so I was playing around with how I wanted it to look. And my mom, because I go to her for advice on everything, she's like, just add another C. And I did. And it's like, hey, I can use that.
And it works. I mean, it fits in great. I really like it. I think it looks great. So Tell us a little bit about why you came up with Mental Magic and what it's about.
Thanks. So Mental Magic came about during the pandemic. It was around 2021, the middle of it, and I was struggling mentally. The previous year in 2020, I was attacked on my way home, and I didn't realize how much that incident would affect me emotionally a year later. Um, so I was struggling. I felt that I needed to talk to someone, and I didn't realize how hard it was to get a therapist. I had heard things, but going through the process myself was very overwhelming, very frustrating, and having to go through those emotions when I was already at my end and really just in this cycle of hurt and anger, just really expounded my emotions. I'm the type of person that doesn't give up, so I didn't let it deter me. And after finding therapy and healing, I thought, what do other people do when they're struggling with this, when they're struggling with PTSD, when they're struggling with depression? I'm driven, but not everybody is. Not everybody has a support system that I have. And me and my friend Nicole, who unfortunately is no longer with Mental Magic, we came up with the idea of building mental wellness boxes and passing them out to our community. I live in Colorado and Nicole lives in Oregon. And so I was going to pass out boxes in my community and she was going to pass out boxes in her community. And we started talking about what should go in the boxes. We created a Facebook page. We did Facebook Lives. Then this is now 2022. An organization reached out to me. I had won a scholarship, and the scholarship was a free website. And they built the Mental Magic website. I really feel like that's kind of catapulted it because I've gotten contacts for resources from national companies asking to be a resource on my website. I've had people reach out to me in the community and say how powerful it is. We have a GoFundMe page, but unfortunately, we haven't been able to raise all the funds for the kits yet, but we are getting close. Mental Magic really came from me wanting to give someone hope that needs it and let them know that there is a light and that you are going through this, but this does not have to be your permanent. Because when you're going through something, it always feels like this is the end, this is devastating. And I want to be that hope for people. I definitely, in my heart, think that Mental Magic will help so many others if it is something that is free, because there are people that struggle and they're choosing to have to, pay for their kids' medicine or pay for groceries, and their mental wellness should not be something that they have to struggle to pay for, in my opinion. And that means a lot to me. And that's my story and my spiel with Mental Magic.
The kits that you're talking about, Char, what all are in the kits?
So there is, and this will change just because my friend Nicole that was running it with me, she did back out, and some of the things in the kit were things that she was promoting, and so I will have to redo the kits. But they were fidget toys, a candle, there was tea, a weighted blanket was an option, but as expensive as weighted blankets were, and we're just coming back to fall. I'm not exactly 100% if that's something that I wanted to add in there. Affirmation cards. And then I also want to put printed resources that are national, because by shipping them state to state, I may not know, what resources are available, but the national organizations would be able to help them. So that's all that I have.
Well, when we're done, I'm going to reach back out to you, because obviously I have something to give you, as you saw, because once again, one of the great things is that we are now teamed with you guys, and to where we are, people are able to raise money through the Community Pay It Forward program. Right here's your brand new QR code. This is the paper that I was working on today, or the forms that I was working on today. And now when people just scan this QR code, they can, it instantly pops up with a form where you can go in there, you can find the partners that you can shop with. You shop with those partners, and then you attach the receipt they gave to them, and Shar is going to be able to continue to grow these kits. And hopefully, instead of taking stuff away from these kits, we can work on building them up. But one of the other things I would like to talk to you about maybe after this, and I know that Stephanie might have a couple other clues that we can talk about, but there are some other people who maybe can offer up some materials to throw in there. Obviously, one of the things that we always like to ask are, what can people do that's not financial that will help you out? And I know that herbal teas are definitely something that are very important. I love the thought of weighted blankets, but yeah, they're pretty expensive, and to try to ship one, that's going to be a pretty penny. But you started this because you were feeling the pressures of depression. You got in to see therapist, and if you don't mind, could you tell us about? I don't want to say the disappointment in the first therapist that you found, but can you tell us your journey through therapy?
Sure. And then I just want to just kind of say, on top of what you said with the weighted blankets, I think the idea behind the whole box is choosing things that you're able to cope with and bring you comfort during that low time. So I feel like all of the items are interchangeable, because as long as it falls under that message, I'm fine with it.
We will get to work.
Okay. And I would say, I wouldn't say the word disappointment fits, but I can't think of another word. My first therapist, I was really excited for. My first therapist was Black. And being a Black woman myself, I believe that she's the first person in the mental health field that I've ever met that's the same race as me. And so that was very big. And I was excited, and it was my first, first therapy connection. And I feel that we had different backgrounds as far as economics and how we grew up. And I feel that that was a blockage during some of our sessions. In one session, for example, she had said that she felt if my mom had a job, then my mom could contribute to the house, and I would not be as stressed as I am, and therefore did not need therapy. My mom has had medical issues since 2017. So in 2021, when I was having this conversation with my therapist, I told her that was the reason my mother wasn't working. It wasn't simply because my mom didn't want to work. And I feel like that distinction was kind of missing. And she was kind of flabbergasted as to, why aren't you taking this advice? I'm your therapist. And it really kind of turned me off on therapy. And I did think for a second, you know, maybe therapy isn't for me, because I have heard that therapy doesn't work for some people, or they don't get out of it what they thought they would. And I thought for a moment, you know, I've had so much issue trying to get a therapist. And I would say this was like a 6-month process, because I started in the middle of 2021. I didn't get my first therapy session until the beginning of December. And then, you know, meeting with this therapist a few sessions, this is what I'm getting, what I'm receiving back. You know, maybe I should just quit. And I'm glad I didn't. I gave it one more shot and went with a completely different clinic. And the therapist at my
Unknown caller.
second time, she was much younger than me. And she was white instead of being a Black woman. And I was unsure of how we would connect. I've learned through therapy that I do have racial identity issues. And so that is a topic that is covered in therapy. And I wasn't sure, you know, to be quite frank, that a younger white woman would understand what I was going through as a Black woman. And it's funny because me and her connected more deeply than my first therapist, who I assumed, you know, she's a Black therapist. She's going to understand, you know, my racial identity issue. She's going to give me tools to help me. And I didn't get as much out of those sessions as I previously assumed that I would.
Let me ask you a real quick question. Could it have been in which, guess what? I would have the exact same reaction you did. Was it more of a defensive, I'm going to protect my mom for saying, you know, from you saying stuff like this? Because I know for a fact if somebody would come at me and want to talk about my parents, that's when the protector in me is going to come out and say, you know, get back. You know, you're not going to say bad things about people I love. They're not the ones screwing my life up. It's, you know, was it a defensive mechanism on yourself that really kind of caused the conflict there? Or was there some other reason why? Was it maybe more of her even being what you felt as a little pushy?
I definitely feel like it was that, because I am not a parent, but I know what Mama Bear mode looks like. And I definitely felt like, no, that's my mom. And I felt like maybe she was in a way calling my mom lazy, and that's not a word you use to describe my mom. Even with her illness and being sick, she still manages to, you know, clean the house from top to bottom and get everything done that she can possibly do to help around the house, because that's just the type of woman she is. I mean, I've said I'm driven. I got it from someone. So definitely a defense to being like, okay, what are you doing? And I feel like it was very upsetting, because I was hesitant to come to therapy, and then I did and went through all the hoops. And then I got to a therapist that I'm like, oh, great, this is going to be a really great situation. And then I felt like I had to go into defensive mode because you are saying this about my mom. So I felt like it was maybe counterintuitive, like still hitting that blockage of being defensive.
Well, if there's anybody who knows about, you know, being the defensive mom, that's going to be our Stephanie Samo. She's got a youngin' in her hands right now. So, Stephanie, what?
Well, I was going to ask if those boxes were geared towards adults or youth, but it sounds like both. You know, it could kind of cover everybody, which I absolutely love. Yes, you're right, Zach. I'm trying to carefully keep her quiet right now. You make it so relatable when you kind of said, like, you want to put time into yourself, but then you have, food to shop for, or, medicine to pick up for your child. And I think that somebody listening to this might say, that's me, that actually is me. Maybe I do need to take some more time, or take a minute, or make that alone time for just a second. I mean, I know me as a mom, like, I really enjoy having a hot coffee once in a while. And usually by the time I get back to it, it's ice cold, like sometimes it's the little things that really do help improve your day that much. So I just love that you're using your story to really give that opportunity to others to take a minute and do something soothing, to lift their day. So I don't really have questions yet. I'm like interested to learn more. So,
Stephanie,
you.
it's actually really kind of funny. One of the things that we learned in our other show was with Stop Shaking Baby Syndrome, where, and I didn't think about this until you just kind of brought it up, where they were telling us, every once in a while, and Dennis, I'm pretty sure that with veterans, this is something that you could, stick up with them. Hey, look, every once in a while, go grab that cup of coffee, walk away from the problem. And this is what I've always told my kids too, take a second, walk away. Don't get so frustrated that everything is tragic. Walk away for a second. Have your drink, not your drink per se.
yes.
Have a beverage, come back at it, look at it again, and figure it out.
I love this concept too, Zach. If you think about other organizations we've kind of worked with, they have boxes in a different way, kind of geared towards different situations. If you think about like the Lucas projects that focuses with like caregivers and people who are, supporting, children that have disabilities at home, and they just need a break for a minute. I feel like these boxes truly are going to be helpful. Even Nancy's house, they do things like this too, to really give people a break. And I think in the hustle and bustle of every day, people don't take a minute to slow down. And that's just the world we're living in right now. Would you agree, Shar? Like, what would you say you felt like leading up to that point where you were like, wow, I need to change something? Because maybe somebody listening might be able to relate to what you're saying and kind of, have a ping. Maybe I need to make a change.
I feel that I definitely was trying to overbook myself and plan my day, so I was as busy as possible, because if I was busy, I didn't have to think about this. I also have a women's empowerment blog that I do with my mother, and we started that at the beginning of 2021. So I was, trying to run my blog, working a full-time job, and doing, all the busy stuff. And I was doing that so I didn't have to think about my feelings. I didn't have to think about how angry I was, or the fact that I wasn't sleeping, or the fact that I didn't have a way to process all of my emotions about what had happened. And my brother, Chris, very delicately one day, he was like, you need to talk to somebody. And I'm not saying this to judge you. I'm saying this because you're my sister and you are hurting. And it was at that point that the light bulb went on. It's like, okay, if my brother is noticing what I am doing to try to cover up this pain, then everybody else is. But I felt like I was kind of like a tightly wound ball. And after going to therapy, like, loosened up. Those rubber band balls when you make them and it's like 8,000 rubber bands, but then you start taking the rubber bands away and it's like this little tiny ball. I felt like that was me. I was this huge ball filled with like grief and tension and anger. And it was just weighing me down. I didn't actually weigh that much. I was just that little tiny ball that first starts out.
But the weight of the world was on your shoulders.
Yes.
Dennis.
my thinking here is that this has such broad application to so many people that need a timeout, need to take some time for themselves before it gets to a point where a crisis happens. And it seems to me that your idea is an excellent one. I would think that this is complementary to pretty much everybody who is working in the mental health arena, and that I'm a big picture kind of guy. From this nonprofit that I started that's teeny tiny right now, but it's ginormous in my head for where I want it to go. But what I'm thinking for you is that why not be able to offer people who have need for it pretty much anything that you think, and you as you put your boxes together, that would be helpful to them, including the weighted blankets, but not necessarily the weighted blanket in that specific box, but partnerships with product providers, so that you can say, okay, well, maybe tea, which is lightweight, and you can ship it, and it's nice to have something that you actually physically get in the box. But in the box is also a coupon for weighted blanket from XYZ company that will ship it to them for free. So I think that what this idea that you have could go everywhere, and I think that
Thank you.
there's a argument, not an argument. It's not the right word I'm looking for, but something can be presented to the people who create the items that you think would be appropriate for these boxes or options in the boxes, to say, here's how you can be giving back. This can be part of your corporate philanthropy, corporate giving, that we're doing this for, mental health, America's mental health. Think bigger, think internationally. England's better health, Germany's better health, France's better health, mental health. I don't see how this could, I don't see a downside to it at all.
Thank you.
I love it.
I actually, when me and Nicole were first bouncing around ideas about what would be in the box, that was one of the things that we said, like a coupon book from a local coffee shop, or a local crafting store with coupons in there, or like a holistic studio. And so I have reached out to some businesses, but because it's not formulated,
Right.
a lot of people said no, which I understand. I do have one mental health clinic that did say yes. They said they want more information, and as soon as I get a box available, they were like, please let us know. We want to be a part of this. So I will take my one yes out of my 1,000 no's. That's okay.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I
sure.
really like that idea.
It starts with one. So
Yes.
Well, sure. I definitely got to get you set up with my wife Adrienne, because she's kind of introduced me to a lot of the things that are probably pretty familiar to you.
Oh wow, yeah.
Crystals, the rubbing stones, stuff like
Yes.
that, and
Those are beautiful.
we look. These are right here on my desks because, this started out as a flat stone, and I've made no, not really. Okay, I haven't squeezed it that much. I would show you my squeeze ducks though, but I've kind of ruined them quite honestly. But I love having these things right here because it does, in day to day, frustrations after you hear from that 13th MLM in a day, you're just kind of like going, leave me alone. So, but they are wonderful. Sharp, where do you want to go? Like this time next year, what do you want for Mental Magic?
This time next year, I want to be, shipping boxes on a regular and reaching people nationwide. That is my ultimate goal, being nationwide. I don't expect that to happen in a year, but I expect to be able to ship the boxes and be helping people in my community and other communities. And as you said, it starts with one.
Mhm.
Yep.
Starts with one, but the vision is, I mean, as a founder of an organization, really it's a leadership thing too, because I have been working in the nonprofit field for about 5 years, and I've rubbed shoulders with other nonprofits, and I'm shocked, honestly, at some of them that that could be so much bigger, so much better, but the leader didn't have that vision, didn't have that mindset that says this is where we want to go to. It's like they were satisfied with that little small space around them that they were doing good things in, but it's like, so I just want to encourage you that when things don't look like they're going well, when you get frustrations and the like, to keep in mind that what you have to offer is, and your idea for it is helpful to people everywhere, and that we just got to keep on going and make those right connections. And you don't have to do it alone. There's a lot of other folks that I believe you will attract to your cause and to your team.
Thanks. It gets frustrating because, there's stopgaps and it seems like nothing's happening. And I've had networking meetings and the other person's like, oh, this is a no. This isn't going to work. Nobody's going to buy into it. You're going to waste your time and your money, and you need to do it differently. And when you decide to do it differently, then you can give me a call back. Mm. So it's been frustrations, but I feel if there's frustrations, then I'm on the right track.
I've talked to both of these individuals who are sitting on this screen with me, and they've heard this story before. I've had people who have told me that they didn't want to talk to me about helping me financially until I turned the numbers around, until I kept 80% and gave away 20%. And I told them that we may never speak again, because I'll never do that. The one person that you've got to stay true to is yourself. Because if you bastardize what your heart created, you're just doing damage. That's why, and you guys can all pipe in with this. You guys hear about all these small companies that sell out to like Apple and stuff like that. You always hear the founders who come back in and say, God, if I would have known how badly they were going to do my company, I would have never done this.
Right.
And,
I recently was caught a part of a presentation where somebody was talking about business planning for small businesses. And the salient point he was making is that because there's so many that are saying this, if you start with your business plan and your end goal is to have an exit strategy where you are selling to a bigger company, he said, you're doing it wrong. You're being sold a bill of goods, because Ford never had that. Goodyear never had that. Sears never had that. All the big companies from 100 plus years ago to today, Microsoft never had that. Nobody who has made it big ever started out with the thought in mind that my end goal is to sell to somebody else.
Yeah,
so.
Sam Walton, one that's current, Sam Walton, he never had that. And his family still to this day does not have that. I mean, they're still some of the richest people around. So,
but the point being is that you have to stay true to yourself. You have to stay true to the vision, and that vision, and what you were saying, Zach, is that vision is what's going to keep you sustained through all of the stuff you got to go through to get it bigger, and will drive the others that you draw to your organization. And hang in there and touch base with folks like us who are going through the same muck.
I'll go off on a little island here, and I'll take the risk of saying, if you ever get to a point where, you're shrugging your shoulders and wanting to get up, you've got 3 of us right here, and there's generally a couple more who are on this show that you can contact at any point in time, and we will talk with you as well. Okay, because look, this nonprofit world is not for the meek. It's not, and it's not for the meek, and it's definitely not for the weak. I am always saying the only way to stop Community Pay It Forward is for me to put my big ass in front of it. Okay, and I am the only reason why this company can stop. I'm the only reason why this company should stop, and I don't plan on getting in its way. I mean, I love when Dennis said that his organization is small, but huge in his mind. That's the way you feel too, right?
Yeah. It's gigantic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
You
you
know
need
what?
to have that vision, and the right people who are your people will be your yes
Yeah.
people, and you will find them.
Yeah.
You will find them. Do you have any wish lists anywhere of anything that if people say, hey, maybe not a monetary donation, but maybe a wish list through, I don't know, dare I say Amazon or something, that there are products that you put in your boxes that you have selected there that people could. She agrees. She likes that idea. Sorry, she found
The
a voice.
star of the
That's
show is
okay.
here.
Something like that, or suggestions for your boxes where people who may just want to donate and send items to you. Is there a place where they can do that?
Yes. So we do have an Amazon wish list. Also on my website, I can't remember exactly which tab it's on. But one of the tabs, it lists the Amazon wish list, and it also says that if you would like to donate items, to contact me, and then we can arrange that. Because I understand sometimes you have things that, okay, this will work out perfectly for them, but it's not money. Definitely.
How about a
Is
list
this-
of people or organizations or organization types that you'd like to be partnered with?
I don't have a list of those.
Well, I'm thinking that would be a good thing to think some about.
Okay.
My recommendation would be to make that sort of a list, and then I would suggest using some online networking organizations that are out there that to say, okay, we have these physical things, but what I really want is connections with companies that do this, and this to partner. And that way you can, because one of the things I like to do is to make connections. I've got thousands of connections on LinkedIn, and I'm always inviting folks that I get to know to say, scroll through my LinkedIn connection list, and I'll be happy to write an introduction, to suggest a conversation, because it's those kinds of things that I think can help leverage what you're doing to where you want it to go.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I didn't even think about doing that. So I'm going to work on that, making a list of those companies that I'd like to work with.
Yeah. Shar, this is one of the pages that I really wanted to get to before we moved off of your website. This is something that you and your aforementioned mom work a lot on, is on your blogs. You guys are very, very active in the blogging world. And what's it like being able to work with your mom on these?
Oh, I love it. Me and my mom have always had a good relationship. And there are no secrets. I mean, mom knows everything. And that goes vice versa. And we talk about some heavy things. It's not all light. We have like fun things that we talk about. But this month being October, I just did a blog on breast cancer awareness. There was a Susan G. Komen walk yesterday that I did. It was really empowering, and I wrote about that. Very tiring, also. But we've talked about race. We've talked about death and grief and how we have went through that. We've also talked about my mom's illness. We have a YouTube channel, and so we do a lot of video blogs. I have ugly cried on camera. That is out for the whole world to see. Because I'm a very authentic person, and I don't know how not to be authentic. So if I'm going to blog about my life, it's going to be true. I'm not going to say that every single day is rainbows and sunshine, because it isn't. And I love working with my mom on the blog. I really think that it's actually gotten us closer, and I didn't think that was possible, because we were already pretty close to begin with. But it's amazing seeing her grow and heal and me grow and heal. It's definitely helped with my healing from, my attack, and my healing with therapy and everything in between.
I don't know if you want to mention this or not, but I will ask anyway. What is your mom's affliction? What is she dealing with?
She has an autoimmune disease. It's called Hashimoto. And it's so there's either two things that happen when you get an autoimmune disease. You either gain a bunch of weight or you lose a bunch of weight. And when it first started happening in 2017, my mom dropped like 40 pounds in the span of 3 to 4 weeks. So it was very, very scary while we went through several doctors and financiers. It is better now. It's probably been, I would say, steadily good for the past